Before Christmas became soft, before it became safe, before it became something we decorated and consumed, winter was feared. In the Alpine regions of Europe, winter was not a season, it was a trial. Snow isolated villages for months, food ran low, illness spread quietly, children died, and the darkness came early, staying late, pressing against the windows like a living thing. People didn't tell stories to entertain themselves through the cold. They told stories to survive it. Stories that explained suffering. Stories that warned of consequences. Stories that taught children obedience, not through kindness, but fear. And among those stories walked a figure who has never truly gone away. Not a saint, not a saviour, but his shadow. His name is Krampus. Welcome back to the Eclectic, where we explore folklore, forgotten history, and the darker currents beneath tradition. Tonight, we step into the long winters of Central Europe, where Christmas was never just about gifts and goodwill, but about judgment, balance, and survival. This is not a cosy tale. This is a folklore episode about fear and why humanity has always needed it. This is the story of Krampus, the devil who walks at Christmas. When we think of Christmas, we think of Santa Claus or Father Christmas. We think of joy, goodwill, winter nights all snugly by the fire. We think of families and happiness and of exchanging gifts. This, of course, is the modern take on Christmas. But long before Santa Claus, there was Saint Nick, a real man, a bishop from the early 1st century who was notorious for his generosity, charity, and gift-giving, travelling the countryside and helping those in need and spreading joy. When he died on December 6th, the day was marked with a festival of goodwill, known as St. Nicholas Day. That continued for many, many centuries, and eventually evolved, along with the pagan festival of Yule, into the Christmas we know and love today. While St. Nicholas himself may have aged out over the centuries, especially in the New World, he has recently returned to the public eye, not because of the man he was or the legend he became, but for a much more sinister reason: the dark company he kept. We're talking about the Krampus. Krampus is not subtle. His name originates from the German word Krampen, which means claw, and everything about him is designed to terrify. He is described as tall and hunched, covered in dark fur, with cloven hooves, long curling horns, sharp fangs, glowing eyes, and a long lolling tongue. He carries rattling chains and birch rods for striking, sometimes a basket, a sack, or a cage. While St. Nicholas visits homes to reward children, Krampus stalks the streets on Krampusnacht, December the 5th. Good children receive gifts. Bad children receive pain. In the darkest folk traditions, Krampus doesn't just punish, he removes. Children are stuffed into his sack and carried away into the forest. Some stories say he drowns them, others say he eats them, others say he drags them to the underworld. These stories were not softened for children. That was the point. Krampus did not begin as a Christian demon. He is far, far older. The origin of Krampus is a little unclear. Folklorists and anthropologists have postulated that Krampus may have pre-Christian origins, although historians generally consider this as unlikely. It is thought, though, that he has evolved from a pre-Christian Alpine paganism, drawing on ancient European beliefs about winter spirits, underworld guardians, and horned nature entities such as satyrs. There are strong parallels with horned fertility spirits that were later demonized by Christianity, winter judgment figures, remnants of the wild hunt tradition, and underworld guardians who appeared during the darkest part of the year. Some scholars link Krampus to Perchta, an ancient goddess or witch who sometimes disembowels lazy or naughty children, replacing their guts with straw. Unlike Krampus, Perchta does reward good children with silver coins and shoes. Others note similarities with Norse traditions, echoes of Hel, a Norse goddess, daughter of Loki, and other chthonic figures. In pagan belief systems, winter was not evil. It was truthful. It stripped life down to its essentials. It brings a stark, unvarnished look at life, where the land goes dormant, and bring a necessary pause to the year. Krampus embodies that truth. He was not malicious. He was inevitable. When Christianity spread through Europe, Krampus posed a problem. He was pagan, frightening, wildly popular, and deeply embedded in a seasonal ritual. So the church attempted what it always does with inconvenient folklore. It demonized him. Krampus slowly became more devil-like. His horns were exaggerated. His face became more grotesque, the tongue more obscene, and the chains linked to hell rather than the winter spirits. At various points, Krampus celebrations were banned outright. To dress as him was heretical. To honour him was sinful. And yet, he never disappeared, because folklore doesn't die when it's outlawed. It hides, it waits, and it returns when authority loosens. Every year, on December the 5th, something extraordinary happens in parts of Austria, Bavaria, and beyond. Men don terrifying masks, hand-carved, horned, grotesque. They wear heavy furs, bells, chains. They blacken their faces with soot. This is Krampusnacht. The streets fill with firelight, smoke, ringing bells, shouting, alcohol. It's controlled chaos. Krampus figures roam freely, chasing spectators, rattling chains, striking legs with birch rods. This is not a children's festival. It is ritualized fear, a reminder that darkness still exists and must be acknowledged. The Krampuslauf, the Krampus Run, is a public procession held in towns across Austria's Alpine regions, southern Germany, South Tyrol in Italy, and parts of Slovenia, Hungary, and Croatia. Participants in the Krampuslauf don handmade costumes, including shaggy fursuits, carved wooden masks, and horns. Costumes also feature cowbells, chains, and accessories such as whips, birch branches, and fangs. The Krampus figures, sometimes accompanied by a Perchten, move through the crowds, chasing spectators and playfully whipping them with brooms. These figures march through the streets. It is frightening. It is exhilarating. It is ancient. Anthropologists suggest these events serve as a communal catharsis, controlled transgression, seasonal boundary rituals. People confront fear together, instead of pretending it doesn't exist. In a world that increasingly avoids discomfort, Krampus demands confrontation. By the 19th century, Krampus appeared on Krampuskarten, postcards exchanged during the holidays. They depict Krampus whipping children, abducting them, mocking them, often with bawdy humour and unsettling imagery. These cards weren't meant to be sweet. They were reminders that Christmas had teeth. For much of the 20th century, Krampus faded from public life. Then Christmas decided to become more commercial, more polished, and more relentless. And something snapped. Krampus returned. He returned through horror films, literature, alternative Christmas culture, metal music, art, and protest. Krampus became a symbol of resistance against forced cheer, against sanitized tradition. He didn't ruin Christmas. He reminded us what it once was. Krampus is not about punishing children. He never was. He represents accountability, consequence, the shadow self, moral balance. Psychologically, Krampus occupies the space Carl Jung would call the shadow, the part of ourselves we deny, repress, and fear. Folklore understood something modern culture often forgets. You cannot have light without dark, joy without fear, reward without consequence. Krampus is not the villain. He is the balance that Christmas lost. Somewhere tonight, chains will rattle in the snow. A mask will be lifted. A bell will ring. Krampus will walk. Not because we are wicked, but because we remember that winter is cruel, that behaviour matters, that darkness deserves acknowledgement. So this December, behave. Or don't. Krampus is watching either way. This has been The Eclectic. Stay curious, stay cautious, and as always, stay eclectic. The Eclectic will be taking a break over the Christmas period. We will return with the next episode in our series of The Women of Whitechapel. We wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And as always, stay eclectic.